Hey everybody. So this next video is going to be talking about the components found within the skeletal muscles. So that said, before we talk about the muscles themselves, we're going to talk about something equally as important to the muscles that does not get enough credit, and that is the connective tissues that surround the muscles. And they are right here. We have endomysium, perimysium, and epimysium. So that said, we look at our little picture over here. The endomysium is found on the inside of the muscle bundles here, as you can tell right here. See how these little sections of muscles, these little red circles? These endomysium are going to cover these red circles. Perimysium are going to be found as a connective tissue on the inside of the entire muscle. They're going to line the inside, and then epimysium is going to cover the outside of the muscle tissue. So that said, why are we even talking about this? So before we even go any further, I want you to think about muscles kind of like a rope, in the sense that a rope is not just a singular thing. Ropes are many different fibers that are entwined together, and then when you entwine those together, they entwine together to make it even bigger until eventually you have your rope. Another way to look at it is kind of like a wire. So if you ever stripped a wire or cut a wire in half, you'll see beneath the plastic covering that there's a whole bunch of these just individual strands of metal, right? So that said, in both cases, in order to help make sure that the wire and the rope are stronger, you can cover them. You can cover them in something else that is going to prevent them from fraying. So, for example, when you're looking at a wire, it's covered in plastic so that it doesn't fray. Also, so you don't get zapped, but that's a different story. But the point is, you don't want those wires to start to fray apart and then start to fall apart. Same thing with your muscles. You want your muscles to be nice and solid and really just bundled together. Because if you are to expose them, some of these filaments or some of these components of the muscle are going to start to fray away and basically rip, and we don't want that. So these connective tissues are going to make sure that all of our muscles are in their bundles and nice and strong. It's also important to understand they are not excitable. So what does that mean? Think about muscles. They are excitable because if you tell a muscle to move, they will contract or relax. These connective tissues do not do that. They do not contract or relax. They're just there to support the muscle. Now we got to look at the anatomy of a skeletal muscle, and here's an example right here. So here is the muscle. All right. Within the muscle, it's kind of like muscleception here. All right. Within the muscle, there's going to be bundles of things called fascicles. All right. So each muscle is made up of many fascicles. Each fascicle is made up of many muscle fibers down here. And in case you haven't noticed already, if you look at the muscle fibers or the cells, right, now those are also broken down into fibrils. And those muscle fibrils are then broken down to the smallest level, which are the filaments, the actin and myosin. So the point we're trying to show here is that the muscles are very strong. However, they're made of groups of muscle. And those groups are further broken down and built up of another group of cells, and so on and so forth, because it's not just a muscle. There are bundles and bundles and bundles of these cells to help make sure that they are strong, as well as give them the ability to have varying degrees of contraction and relaxation, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But this is the muscle anatomy, and if you want to look at it underneath the slide, here's another example of this where you can see how it's like muscleception, right? There's just bundles inside bundles inside bundles. That said, this is the first section discussing muscles.